With our school curriculum, we have some big ideas that basically we want to be covering, and we were tentatively looking to do something that was science-based. We also like to have the ability to integrate our arts and literacy and social studies things as well. We came across the Newspapers and Education Dairy resource, which was From Grass to Glass, and that rather than just use it as a small reading unit, that we could flesh it out more. And so we came across the Dairy NZ units, and we went from there. We loved it. We thought it was clearly put together by teachers for teachers. It had assessment, it had curriculum links, everything that we needed to put together a unit. So it was all there, and we just thought it was wonderful. Well, when we started, we did a KWL chart, and we did what we knew already about farms, which wasn't a lot, and then we looked at what we wanted to know, and that's where those questions would have come from. We went through and we talked about particularly the website links that we could all use in common, but that we would also just see where each individual class would go. It's an important area for the children to know about, because dairy farming is such an important part of the New Zealand economy, and so it's important for the children to have a bit of understanding about that. It's just looking at where there's opportunities to integrate with other areas, because it helps the children's learning if they can build on the knowledge they've got in one area. That's what we did. We're doing fractions at the time, and that was just a really useful example to use. There was a fractions activity. It just fitted in really nicely to what we were learning about from the dairy farming.
The good thing about the milk, the product, it's because they have it in their lives. I checked, nobody was lactose intolerant. Everybody does indulge in milk products, ice cream and things like that.
Diorama came about because we looked at the digestive process of cows, and the animal welfare fitted in really well to the dioramas. They could create a scene that incorporated all the things that a cow would need to have a happy life and a productive life.
You're going to be a cow ambassador. A movie of me, Rosie.
She's a Natural was something that I used as part of my reading program, but it was also a buddy reading task as well, and they were able to just be on the computers, be on the laptops, reading and enjoying the digital text, and then doing some retrieval activities and figuring out all the little funny features in the text for themselves. There were lots of activities within Rosie's world. Even just watching the videos, there was one video that said coming soon for quite a large part of our unit, and then we were actually sent an email to say it's up there now, so we quickly jumped on and were able to watch the final video, which was about the milking sheds.
What are you asking her?
They loved just going home and emailing Rosie or finding out more information about Rosie's life and watching her little clips and things like that. So it was just something that we were able to use within the classroom program, but also that took on a life of its own at home and in free time and that sort of thing as well.
The digital learning object, Go Milking, was a popular activity where students could experience how technological innovation has changed the milking process over time.
One of the interesting things was when we wrote our farm narratives, lots of the children's plot lines centred around power cuts. There was a power cut so the machines couldn't milk the cows, so they had to know how to hand milk, and others had that they were getting more cows, so they needed to investigate upgrading to having machines and robots and that sort of thing. In the process through time and the developments of milking the cows.
We were talking as a class about identifying and summarising main ideas in texts. So I particularly chose that one for that group because it had keywords highlighted in bold, and then used it to draw out the information from the children to do the cycle of what happened at the dairy farm. And so we've talked about it and used it as part of our learning. And of course, going to the farm at the end, they had all that language to speak to the farmer about. So going at the end meant they had all the knowledge before we went. So going around was just fantastic because they recognised everything, they knew what they were looking for, they knew what questions to ask. It was brilliant.
The timing was absolutely spot on as it turned out. It was wonderful because the children, straight away hopped off the bus and were able to say, there's a cafeteria, that's a herringbone milking shed, there are the vats. They just had so much knowledge that they could really then apply to what they were seeing, as opposed to learning it then and there or having to, after the fact, think back, oh, that's what that's called, we saw it at the farm. This way they had a lot of the knowledge, and it was just sort of built on and supported while we were at the farm visit.
I thought that cows would have one stomach like us, but they actually have 4 stomachs. Cows eat 70 kgs of grass, and then it comes into a kadwa, and then it's about that small, and then then they burp it up, and then they get, and their tongue's about as long as a ruler, and then they chew the cud for 1 minute. They have 4 stomachs so they can digest all the grass, because the grass isn't as smooth as the food that we eat, so it's like it's a bit like string, but not as strong.
You use it a lot in baking, and lots of other dairy products are used in baking, like butter and cheese, and then you can get things for your lunch boxes like yogurt and ice cream and things like that.
And make you pay. Well, we had 2 goes at that, because the first lot we left out too long and it got a very strange smell to it, so we decided that we couldn't feed the cows that because it might make them sick.
You grab quite a few bunches of grass, and then you'd lay it out in the sun for nice weather and leave it overnight to dry, and in the morning it should turn out all crunchy and dry. We didn't know what it would feel like. We thought it would hurt the cows when they went through their shed to get their milk out. So the farmer let us put our fingers in the cups so we knew what it felt like.